other side, the big Bengal debate. It's a circle of violence in Bengal, and as circles do, it is never ending in nature. The Panchayat polls seem to have only unleashed the forces of gore and blood, which are posing serious questions of law and order in the state. Viewers, 7 lives have been lost so far in a war that should have been restricted to ballots and not allowed to spill over to bullets and bombs. But in Bengal, capacity to violence has come to define the political heft. What can't be won by a battle of ideas is snatched by the force of the bullet. So much so that a High Court judge advised stopping the Panchayat polls just a few days ago while calling the unabated violence a matter of shame for the government. Let's listen in now to the central forces, what the Chief Minister of Bengal had to say about their presence.
আমার কাছে খবর আছে ইলেকশনের সময় বর্ডারে গিয়ে আপনাদের তারা ভয় দেখাবে এবং বলবে তুলে নেব সিবিআই লাগাবো ইডি লাগাবো আমি বলি কিচ্ছু করতে পারবে না মনে রাখবেন আইনত ল এন্ড অর্ডার স্টেট সাবজেক্ট এটা রাজ্য সরকারের আন্ডারে পড়ে এটা কেন্দ্রীয় সরকারের আন্ডারে পড়ে না দুটো পরিবার এখানে এসেছেন খুব রিসেন্টলি 2-3 দিন আগে যাদের বিএসএফ গুলি করে মেরেছে তার আগেও কয়েকজনকে গুলি করে মেরেছে শীতলকুচিতেও আপনারা জানেন 4 জনকে গুলি করে মেরেছে মনে রাখবেন যে শহীদ পরিবার আজকে আপনাদের সামনে দাঁড়িয়ে কাঁদছে তার বদলা আপনার একটা পঞ্চায়েতে তৃণমূলকে 3টে ভোট দিতে হবে তার কারণ যাতে আপনার পরিবার কোনোদিন খালি না হয়ে যায়।
Joining the debate with Gaurav Bhatia is Mr. Roahan Mitra, political analyst, and Riju Dutta, national spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. And Riju Dutta, I want to ask you, one BJP MLA in Nadia district faced bombs in his house, his brother and father injured. Another bomb goes off in Murshidabad just today, and this was because there were some bombs, according to locals, that were being made in that house. I want to ask you just what's going on. It's Panchayat elections, I understand, but not ballot, but bullets are going to talk, and you're going to once again talk about central forces like the BSF, call them names. Well, you can't seem to manage the law and order there. What do you expect?
Navika ji, see, I am not going to go into a mudslinging match. I'm going to talk about numbers. Out of the total lives that have unfortunately been lost, and we categorically condemn the violence in the state, 5 of them are Trinamool Congress cadres, my co-workers. Out of the total nominations that has been filed by the ruling government, which is 82,000, the collective opposition who are fighting this election together, which is BJP, CPM and Congress, have filed 1.5 lakh nominations. Out of 6 disturbed areas, and I will honestly accept that, 6 disturbed areas where there has been violence, which are now under control, 61,000 booths out of 74,000, which is almost 95%, have been peaceful. So yes, there has been some lives lost, but if you look at the history of Bengal from the left regime, when the left has infiltrated violence and death and bloodshed and murder into the political DNA of Bengal, we have come a long way. Even one death is condemnable, but it's a work in progress. We are trying our level better now. It is peaceful. Whatever violence we are seeing here and there in a large state of West Bengal, these are isolated incidents. They are
Isolated incidents. Everything is under control. Gaurav Bhatia, do you agree? Everything is under control, and they have by and large managed to bring, after a few deaths, I don't know, it happens every time when there are elections in Bengal, but after a few deaths, things are under control. You agree?
Navika, I think it is very shameful that a spokesperson of a party comes and then uses the term some lives lost. Most of the areas are seeing peaceful holding of the elections. Some areas are disturbed. थोड़े बहुत मर गए हैं, क्या हो गया? Law and order to theek hai. But for such spokespersons and for Mamata Banerjee, we need to go and trace the history of West Bengal under Mamata Banerjee. Last Panchayat election, Mamata Banerjee was warned by the Honorable Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had made a remark reprimanding Mamata Banerjee, saying that democracy is dead in West Bengal, and then intervened. Second, you remember, Navika, 2 May, 2nd May, the election results of Vidhan Sabha West Bengal elections were declared. There was a cry from West Bengal, 2 May, Kanun Vyavastha gai. People were murdered, women were raped, there was violence all across the state of West Bengal. When Mamata Banerjee was the incumbent chief minister, she could not even maintain law and order. Third, after that Birbhum violence, again, violence all over, people murdered. And do you know, just a few days back, that video is there in the internet, and the High Court judge is saying that we are ashamed of the law and order situation that prevails in West Bengal. When a judge of the High Court is forced to make such strong remarks because they exercise restraint, it clearly shows that West Bengal has become a place where law and order does not exist, and it is Jungle Raj of Mamata Banerjee.
Well, let me get in Roahan Mitra, who looks at the Congress party very closely. And I want to ask you, Roahan Mitra, is everything normal in Bengal?
Good evening, Navika. Coming back to the point, the history of Bengal. 34 years, the Congress, that time the joint Congress, and after 1998 with the Trinamool being in the Bengal, the biggest point we always had was the political violence which was going on under the left front. Mrs. Mamata Banerjee, during the time when she formed the Trinamool, and afterwards...
Let's not go into the history. I don't have the time for that, Mr. Mitra. I want to ask you, is today Bengal under control? Law and order under control, yes or no?
Absolutely not. That's why, the whole point is, the whole media is focusing on the BJP. Well, for your information, the Congress has been the primary people who have taken this matter to the court. It has been Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary who is fighting the cases in the court, and the orders which have come from the High Court have been on the petitions filed by him. So what are we talking about? And above all, when the High Court said the Election Commission needs to have 800, well, let me finish, 800 central forces there, 800 groups, we only had 300. That's why the Congress today is asking that the elections need to be held in phases, because there is no central forces in the district. So
Riju Dutta, I'm completely out of time. 30 seconds. Central forces not on the ground. If there is anything under control, as you say, then clearly it has happened after the central forces has come, and they're currently being abused by the state. And number 3, if the Congress and the BJP are both saying that nothing is under control, how can the Trinamool Congress just get away by saying sab kuch theek hai, bhalo ache?
We welcome the central forces. Last time also in 2021 8-phase election, central forces, the world knows the result. Point number 1. Point number 2, Congress under Adhir Chaudhary is first time in independent India is a big fat zero in Bengal. So Congress should not open their mouth, first of all. So lastly, to Gaurav Bhatia, for turncoats like Gaurav Bhatia, who suddenly become the blue-eyed boys of BJP, it is the BJP who is bombing, it is the BJP who is shooting, and all these losers are just crying.
And you as the state government, which is supposed to maintain law and order, cannot take care of the BJP, which has only 77 MLAs, to your majority over there. Now that is a very flimsy excuse, Riju Dutta, and nobody is going to believe you on that. If you have such a humongous majority, then it's your job, pretty much, to keep that state and the law and order in place. But the question is, when the courts actually begin to say that defer elections, even Panchayat polls cannot be held in peace in Bengal, then what are we talking about? And meanwhile, you may have seen the partnership between the Congress and the Trinamool Congress, the united opposition. It's there for everyone to see. We leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on the News Hour. Thank you, viewers, also for staying with me. I'll see you tomorrow on the same show, the News Hour at 9, only here on your channel. Times Now.